We're going to talk about moving money between accounts in this video, but before I get into that, I did want to show one more time the importing and categorizing of transactions. Like I've said before, it's probably the most important thing to do consistently and to do properly. As long as you stay on top of it, it's not hard to do. You just have to stay on top of it, and I would suggest doing it on a daily basis. At worst, maybe every other day. It takes a few minutes. It doesn't take much time at all, especially the more frequently you do it, because most of the time you're going to recognize the transactions because you had just done it in the last day or two, as opposed to coming in here, say, weekly or every other week or something, where you have 40 in here and you're looking at transactions that you did 2 weeks ago and you don't remember, what was this $8 that I spent, and it gets to be a pain. So if you come in here on a regular basis, like daily, you're not going to have many. I have 4 in here, so obviously I'm not using these as my main account, so there's not as many, but 4, 3, that's usually about how many you'll have on a day-to-day basis, give or take. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to log into my YNAB. I'll come through. You'll see where your accounts are listed. If there's anything that needs to be, in this case, import, categorized, or approved, you'll see a dot next to the account that needs to be taken care of. So if I come into that account, I'll see, in this case, there's 4 to import. I'll import those, and you'll see the 4 listed here. So I'm going to go through and categorize these. Now, when you first start, and we haven't gotten into this budget tab yet, but we will in later videos. I'm going to spend quite a bit of time on that. But for now, as we mentioned before, it does give you some defaults that you can use. This is what it's going to look like when you first log in. This is what the default functions are, and you can move these around. But for now, I'm going to use those just because I'm getting started, and that's what I recommend you do as well, is just to get going, just to put them in the best categories you can, even if you just kind of get used to downloading and categorizing for a week or so before you start messing with the budget, just to get in the habit of doing it. So just to go through these real quickly. So when they first pop up, most of them, it's going to have the payee already done because it's downloading it from your bank account. It's not going to know what category to put it in unless this is something that you do on a regular basis, like, say, the grocery store. Like I go to Publix. If I go to Publix, it's going to start to recognize it when I buy things from Publix. They're groceries, which is great. However, it can also be deceiving because sometimes you're not buying groceries from Publix. You're going to the pharmacy or something, and you'll have to check to make sure, if I spent this $8 on a prescription, I need to make sure that I put that down as, let's say, medical instead of groceries. So you'd still need to check them, even if these are pre-filled, but these are not pre-filled in this case. So just to go through these with you. This first one is just a taco place. So I'd put this in dining out. I'll approve that one. This one is just a software subscription to download Kindle highlights. So I'll put this in software subscriptions. Fresh Market is a grocery store. Fancy smancy grocery store, so I'll put groceries here. And then, I don't know if you've heard of Amazon. It's just a little online place. The thing with Amazon, as I'm sure most people that are watching this, is you're just buying tons of things from Amazon frequently. It's always going to show up as Amazon. It is kind of a pain just because unless it's in the last few days and you know what this was, I have to check sometimes to see what was this spent on. So in this case, I don't know off the top of my head, but I'm going to just to demonstrate, I'm just going to split this into 2 categories. So if I want to split it into 2, so let's say I go to Amazon, I'm buying some dog food and a toaster, let's say. So I want to come in here and I want to split that between 2 categories because, let's see, I just want to make sure I'm getting these right. So what I would do is I come in here, categories, go down to split. So I'd hit split. It's going to pop up. I can add another one, so I could do 3, 4, 12 if I wanted to. If you go out with all of your friends and you've spent all this money on your friends and you have categories for every single friend, you can make it every friend if you want. You can do as much as you want. But usually this is about what it ends up being. 2, maybe 3 different categories sometimes. If you're going to Target or something, this will come up too, because sometimes you're doing multiple things. You're buying some clothes and you're buying some detergent or something. So anyways. So all I gotta do is pick the categories. In this case, I'm just going to do 2. I'll do groceries, let's say, and I'll do, what did I say? Pets. let's do something else because there's not a pets category. I'll just put it on music, I guess. So I'm going to split these 50-50. Of course, you can do it any way that you want. And sometimes you can actually, unless you want to bother with doing it in your head, you can put 1433 and you can divide it by 2 if you want to do it that way. You can do the math in the cell if you wanted to. If you don't want to if you can't or don't want to do 1433 in your head, you can just do math actually in the cell, which is nice. But let's say it's 17. It's going to tell you how much you have left. So I'd put $7.17 in groceries. I'm putting $7.16 in music, and there we go. And this is at 0 now, and I just hit approve. And that's how you'd split it between 2 different categories. So that's what I would do. So I'd hit approve. That one's done. And now they're all cleared out. You'll notice, now they're all cleared out, you'll see there's no header up here at the top saying that I have things to import or approve. I'm going to just undo this real quick and I'll show you. When you have things to import, approve, or categorize, it's going to have this header up here at the top. One thing you can do is if you hit view, it will take you and just show you the one that you need to approve. This is nice if you have 5, let's say, intermingled with ones that have already been approved, so you don't have to just kind of click around. Also, what you can do is if you have multiple accounts with multiple ones to approve, if you hit view and then come to all accounts, it will show you all of your accounts. You can hit this view and it will just show you the ones that need to be approved. So that way if you have 3 in here, 4 in here, 5 in here, if you just come to all accounts, hit view, it will show you just the ones you need to approve, and you can kind of click through them pretty quick instead of going from this one to this one to this one. It's just a little bit easier because you'll have them all lined up. So I'll just come back in here. I'm not going to split this again. I'm just going to put groceries just to get it out of the way. All right. I'm going to clear that search so they all pop up. They're all approved now. So that's it. So get to the point of what I wanted to actually talk about in this video. Moving money between accounts. One thing that will trip people up when they are first using this is, they'll have their checking, they'll put money on a credit card. They usually sometimes are paying their credit card every month with their checking account. But usually what they're doing is they're going online, they're entering a payment into their credit card then draws the money from their checking account. A lot of times this is a Chase credit card and an Ally checking account. They're not related, so they're not going to know necessarily that your credit card payment is the same money that went out of your checking account. The 2 banks aren't going to know that. I know that, but the bank doesn't know that. So if I just put the transaction in here and it went into the credit card, it's going to show up as a payment from wherever. It's not going to know. It's just going to know a payment came in. So it'll show as a payment. It's going to want you to categorize that. Well, it's not a category. It's just the payment from your checking. This is going to show an outflow, and it's going to want you to put a category, but there's no category because you're just moving money between accounts. You're moving it from your checking to your credit card. So what you have to do is, if that happens, you would come in here. I'll show you. I'll put a manual one in here as a payment to the credit card just to show you what it would look like. So you'd have to come in here. You need to change the payee to your credit card. Once you change the payee to the credit card in this case, because it's coming from the checking to the credit, it grays out the category because you don't need to put a categorized transaction if you're just moving money between accounts. It'll gray this out. I'm just going to put, let's say 5047, just so you see what it looks like. If I hit save, I put this in here manually, so you notice this is grayed out, which means this is not cleared my bank yet. This is as if you want to, I don't know, like I said before, if you have ever used a check register, you would write a check, write who you wrote the check to and for how much, you'd put it in your register, and then when it cleared the bank, you'd go through and you'd reconcile your checkbook and make sure I wrote $50 to Fred 2 weeks ago. Here's that $50 check. It's now cleared my bank, and you would check it off. This is basically just a digital, like I've said before, check register. So in this case, I would have put this in here without it clearing my bank. 2 days from now, 3 days from now, it would clear my bank. It would show up in here. It would have a chain link next to it. I'd hit the chain link, and this would show as green that it was cleared. So I'm going to delete this for now because I'm not going to do this, but I wanted to show you. Put it as a payment, no category, 5047. If I come in here to the credit card, it automatically makes an offsetting transaction in here that it came from my checking of $50.47. And that's how it would you offset it and move money between accounts. And this would also be true. Let me delete this real quick. This would also be true if I was moving money from my checking to my savings, let's say. So if I had $50 and I wanted to save some extra money, I would just do the same thing. I'll put another one in here, but I would move it to my savings account, $50. And same thing. It's going to generate a transaction that I put in $50. So anytime you're moving money between accounts, you want this to show up as a transfer from the one that you're moving the money out of and a transfer into the one that you're putting the money into. You don't want to have a category associated with it because you've already categorized the spending. You're not spending money by moving it between accounts, if that makes sense. So that's how you move money between accounts. I'll go ahead and delete this. And that's it.